Greetings, Immortals. This is Lux Dietine, and
Tempest Dietine.
today we will be actually diving into the specifics for once. So we will start talking about specific characters rather than just the sort of start of the multiverse. So, let's see, who should we start with? So there are a few main factions in the Prime realm, which is where the main story takes place. Namely, the Alliance and the Syndicate. So
And
let's...
the best character isn't in any of those.
I don't know about best character, but...
Okay.
Alright. So, the Alliance is essentially the magic police guys. I mean, it's not magic, because in the Prime Realm, essentially, after a while, people started to less use casting, and more, again, evolution took its place, and with mana feeding it, people gained powers, abilities. So let's give an example.
Beacon.
Beacon's powers aren't from, powers.
Static.
Static has the ability to generate an electrical field around him and slightly manipulate it, although we can't really manipulate it because that's not how electricity works. You can't shoot lightning bolts. They'll just arc back around and hit you, and you'll end up dead if you even thought of using enough voltage to get to your enemy. It's still just gonna arc around and kill you. So, yes, he can't shoot lightning bolts, but he can generate a field of electricity, and typically he can channel that electricity through his sword, which, yes, is a rapier, and yes, he's super over the top. He also has throwing knives that are built to sustain a closed circuit for as long as possible, so you can charge them, throw them, and then they'll release their circuit on impact. Let's see. So yeah, that's essentially a example of the powers that can be explained. Or explain, you know what I mean. So in the Alliance is essentially, again, police, but with powers this time. Essentially, it's just an organization of heroes, and they're ranked and given missions. Essentially, it's the best way to get a good standing if you're trying to be a hero. There probably are other hero organizations, but the Alliance is most likely, essentially, the only important one, the biggest one.
Just the one that we focused on.
Yeah. Then, as I've said before, there's also the Syndicate, which...
Fictional mafia.
As I said earlier, the Alliance is the magic police, so the Mafia is the magic... the Syndicate's the magic mafia. Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is.
The leader of the Syndicate, his name's...
Enforcer!
Yeah, Enforcer. He made a pact... Oh, we didn't cover pacts.
Oh.
Essentially, a pact is when you make a deal with either an infernal, a celestial, or a wandering spirit. If you want more on wandering spirits, go over to Tenebrous Dietine's channel. They made a video on wandering spirits. And yeah. So go over to Tenebrous Dietine's channel if you want to learn about wandering spirits. But a pact is essentially when you make a deal with either an infernal, a celestial, or a wandering spirit that gives you power in exchange for the use of your soul or any other thing that they might want. Normally with infernals and celestials, it's the use of your soul after you die. With wandering spirit, it can pretty much be any usage. And I guess it can be any usage for
And if you don't
Infernals
make a
and Celestials.
pact with either of them, you become a wandering spirit.
If you don't make a pact with either of them, essentially, if your soul is still free, then yes, you can become a wandering spirit. Although I guess you're not guaranteed power because you have to find a good source of mana before a wandering spirit becomes powerful.
Ow. There's a bug behind me.
So yeah, the Syndicate Enforcer made a pact with a Celestial. Specifically with a Valor Celestial. So he has the ability to create force fields and to use Divine Lightning, which is essentially shooting lightning bolts. I said that wasn't possible earlier, but this is a pseudo-lightning created by mana rather than actual electricity. So the mana behaves differently than lightning. And it just happens to take a form similar to lightning because celestials and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, he has Divine Lightning and Force Fields that are incredibly strong. And I believe there's two people that can break through them reliably. There's Hot Rod and Inferno. Is there anybody else? I mean, a lot of people can break through them in their awakened states. I will explain that later. But I believe those might be the only two that can break through them reliably. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. I'll have to go through the notebook. Let's see.
Amber could do it with some help.
Amber actually might.
With some
she
help.
might go insane, but
Yeah.
I mean, if she uses her full power, she probably could, but, obviously...
She'll go insane.
She'll go insane for a bit.
We'll explain her in a bit.
Yeah, we'll explain her character later. So, yeah, then the Syndicate... the Syndicate has a more clear hierarchy. So there's Enforcer, obviously, at the top. Then, essentially, his pet, who is a live human being, just to the point where his mind has been broken down and destroyed to the point where he is no longer human, has no emotions, and Enforcer is just as bad as the Celestials. So he broke down Magnus to the point where he had no humanity left in him. Magnus is extremely powerful.
We need to make a paper thing for Tombstone.
Yeah. Magnus is extremely powerful, and also just sort of like a blank, like no emotion, just sort of does what Enforcer says.
The levels of power.
It's not really that important.
Okay.
But Magnus, sure, I'll explain that now. There's 3 levels of power, in the Prime Realm, given, the